So these are just some of the pictures that I've taken with my iPhone over the years. I'm taking a lot of pictures, mainly because my iPhone is the thing that I always have on me. I'm always adjusting the settings, always trying out new settings, trying to figure out what gets me the best image quality. In this video, I wanted to share the settings that I use, the settings that I would recommend you use, so that you can get the best quality images from your iPhone. Before we get into it, I do recommend having a Pro model iPhone, because some of the settings that we're going to be discussing here are only available on the Pro versions. So before we start taking any pictures, we actually need to go into our camera settings and adjust the settings to take the best quality images. So we're going to go to settings, then we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to camera, and we're going to start adjusting the settings in here. So I have the new iPhone 16 Pro here, which has the new camera button, and we can adjust the camera control. I just have it set to the camera app, the default camera app, and I have it set as a single click. And as we scroll down, photographic styles. So this is something I don't really mess around with. I leave it as standard, mainly because we're going to be adding our own style, our own edits to the pictures later on. So as we scroll down, we have some of the video settings here, record video. You can adjust this between 24 frames per second or 30 frames per second. I would recommend one of those options because it looks the most natural when uploading to places like Instagram or TikTok. As we scroll down, enhanced stabilization is enabled. You can follow these settings here. HDR video, so I always have that option turned off. I don't like the look of HDR video. I personally just don't like the look of it. Other people might like the look of it, and if you like it, then please use it. But I personally don't think it looks all that cinematic. If we scroll down further, we have auto FPS off, lock camera off, lock white balance off. So those are just some of the video settings. If we go back, we can see record slow-mo. I have at 4K at 120 frames per second. So again, this is actually exclusive to the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. You might not see this on an older model. Record cinematic, 4K at 30 FPS. Record sound at mono. Again, this is just down to personal preference. I prefer mono audio. I just think it sounds better. I think stereo can sound a bit odd. And then we're going to go into formats. So formats is where the most important stuff is, the things that you definitely need to change. So camera capture, I have at high efficiency. Photo mode, I have at 24 megapixels. But this is the key option here, the Pro RAW and resolution control I have enabled. And then the Pro default I have at Pro RAW Max. This will enable you to shoot at the full 48 megapixels. So you'll get the full 48 megapixel image. If you don't have this option enabled, it will automatically put it down to 24 megapixels. So we want it at 48 megapixels. And then there is a new Pro RAW format option only on the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max. I have it set to JPEG XL lossy. So basically, it's just different compression ratios. These are new image formats that have been introduced recently, and I have it set to that because it saves on file sizes when it comes to shooting Pro RAW images at 48 megapixels. And then if we go back, we have video capture, Apple ProRes encoding as log. And then if we go back further, preserve settings. So preserve settings, as the name suggests, preserves your settings whenever you change stuff within the camera app. So camera mode I definitely have enabled, because when I go back to the camera app, I want it to go back to the mode that I left it in, whether that's shooting video, whether that's shooting a photo, whatever it might be, I want it to stay. Controls menu I have disabled, photographic style I have enabled. I might actually disable this because I don't really use it. Creative controls I have on, depth control I have off, macro control I have on as well, exposure adjustment, night mode, portrait zoom, sorry, action mode, Pro RAW and resolution control, Apple ProRes and live photo. So go back, volume up for burst enabled, scan QR codes, grid I have enabled. Grid will help you sort of line up your shots, compose your shots. Same with the level option. The level option is incredible. Being able to make sure that your iPhone is level when you're shooting a picture so that it's not skewed, very, very useful. Mirror front camera disabled, view outside frame. This is usually enabled by default, but I have it disabled because I just find it a bit distracting. I prefer it off. And then the fusion camera, yeah, you can choose all the options here. I don't even use the 28 or 35 to be honest. I leave it at 24 usually. And then if we scroll down, portraits in photo mode enabled, prioritize fast shooting enabled, lens correction enabled, and macro control enabled. And that's pretty much it for the camera settings. Now we're going to go into the camera app and show you some of the settings in there. So when we've made all of the settings adjustments, when we go into the camera app, this is what we should usually see. So we have flash disabled, the night mode here, I have it enabled. This option here actually changes the brightness of the image, the exposure of the image. Not something I usually mess around with, to be honest with you, unless I'm shooting video. And then we have the RAW Max option. So we can actually tap that to turn Pro RAW on or off. But something that I don't think a lot of people realize is that you can actually hold down on it to bring up all of the options. So you can choose between the options that are available. I of course have it as RAW Max, and then live photo, we can enable or disable that. One thing to note here is that if you do want to shoot a live photo, you enable the live photo option, it automatically disables the Pro RAW option. You can't have both at the same time. So that's something to keep in mind, because I know some people, they do love live photos, they do love being able to capture a moment and almost sort of watch it back like it's a mini video. I'm not too fussed. I want to shoot in the Pro RAW option. And then another thing which I don't think a lot of people realize is that you can actually swipe up on the screen and you can get a bunch of other options. We're not going to go through those because we'll be here forever otherwise. That's pretty much it. I really don't think you need to mess around with anything else. What I would highly recommend is that when you are taking pictures, shoot them at the 1x zoom, the 1x camera that you see here. That is what is going to get you the highest quality image with the best sensor on the phone and get the Pro RAW image at 48 megapixels. So try and keep to that option as much as possible. It is the camera that I use most, the 1x camera. I try to avoid actually using the other ones, mainly because the sensor on the ultra wide and the sensor on the telephoto are different. They're not the same sensor that you're using for the main camera. The main camera sensor is the best sensor out of all of them. It's going to capture the most light, it's going to capture the most detail because the sensor itself is the largest in the phone. Another major reason to shoot Pro RAW is that I found when you take a Pro RAW image and then you put it into a professional editing app like Lightroom, which I'm going to show you next, it strips the image of all the processing that Apple like to do. And some of the processing that Apple like to do, I know some people love it. I'm not a big fan. I found that the shadows are a bit too bright. I found that the sharpening is just a bit too much. I feel like it almost looks over-processed, and I'm not really a fan of that sort of look. I don't think it looks that nice. So when you do shoot a Pro RAW image, what I would highly recommend is bringing it into an app like Lightroom, which is what I have here, and then start editing it there. Start applying some adjustments and stuff to get the look that you want. And I'm going to show you how easy that is. So all of these images here are shot with my iPhone. We'll start with this picture of a Porsche that I shot in an underground garage. So I'm going to apply one of my presets here. I've made some specific presets for iPhone Pro RAW photography, which I'll leave a link to down in the description below. And yeah, we can go through some of my presets here, see what they look like. Choose one that I like. I think I quite like that one. So we've applied our presets, so now we're going to make some adjustments. I'm actually going to bring down the exposure, make it a bit darker in there. Bring down the shadows maybe, change the color, make it a bit more blue, take out the warmth of the image. I think I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. So if I hold it down, that is the before, that is the after. I might actually make it a little bit darker, bring down the exposure like so. And I think that looks incredible. I think that looks awesome. That looks like a wallpaper. That's what it looks like before, that's what it looks like after. And as you can see, that was super quick and easy. I just want to be able to take a picture very quickly with my iPhone with the settings that I've already set up so that I don't have to mess around with anything. Then bring it into Lightroom, put a preset on, make some minor adjustments to the color and exposure, and boom, we have an image that I think looks incredible. We'll do another image here, so we'll swipe across. I have another picture of a Porsche. We'll choose one of my presets. I quite like one of these, but you can see how much of a difference some of these presets make. So we can go for like a cooler look, or we can go for a warmer look. We'll go for a cooler look. I think it looks better for this. We'll actually bring down, we'll actually make it a bit warmer because we don't want it to be too cool. And then we'll bring down the exposure like so. Bring up, bring down the shadows, I think, bring down the highlights. Yep, I'm happy with that image already. So that's the before, we can see what it looks like, and that is the after. Massive difference, absolutely huge difference to the image there. Let's go to our next image. So I've shot an image here of just an interior of a building. Choose one of my presets. I'll choose one of my more recent ones. I mean, that already looks awesome. Like, I think that looks perfect as it is. I don't really need to make any adjustments. That's the before, that's the after. Very, very subtle. I don't want the image to look overly processed. I don't want it to look like some really bad Instagram filter. I just want it to look quite subtle, quite classy, quite clean, and that's exactly what my presets do. And then we have a final picture of just the Dubai skyline. We can add one of my presets here. You can see how much of a difference, like, it just adds more depth, more character to the image I found. So let's choose one of these. Yeah, let's choose this one. And what we'll do is we'll bring up the exposure a tad, bring up the shadows a little bit like so. And we'll also change the color temperature, make it a bit bluer. There we go. Looks phenomenal. That is the before, that is the after. Before, after. It makes a huge difference, and it really is as simple as that. Like I said, I just want to be able to shoot pictures and edit them later on, add filters and stuff later on. I just want to be able to capture the moment and then edit it so that it looks like it's shot with a DSLR. If you are interested, I have put together a mini course, iPhoneCreatorCourse.com, which is basically a more in-depth version of this video. So if you're looking to get the most out of your camera, and you want to get the presets as well that I've mentioned here, you can purchase the course, and it basically just includes everything. You get everything all in one bundle, and you learn how to get the most out of the cameras on the iPhone, what exactly they do, what each of the settings does, just a bunch of stuff in there. Hopefully you guys can learn a thing or two from it. I'm also giving away a brand new iPhone 16 Pro. So anyone who purchases the course is automatically put into a draw to win an iPhone 16 Pro. I might actually give away two, depending on how well the course does. And you can also maybe win some AirPods Pros or a gift card, an Apple gift card. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more.